with Wayne Dyer in front of thousands of people and do something that she had not planned to do, and then all the lights went out. The whole auditorium, they lost power, they lost electricity. And they had to bring in candles, so it was just her and Wayne on a stage with candles all around them. And it was the most holy experience of just giving herself over to be used in a situation that she hadn't even planned for, but she was willing, and then this holy experience came, this feeling of vastness, like, wow, this is what I'm here for. And she always remembered that. And I think that's a bit what Jackie's talking about. When you go inside and you're able to kind of polish away all the expectations and the wants and the desires, there's this stillness, this vastness that's there, and it just kind of overtakes your awareness. You just are hushed. It's the hush of heaven. And those kind of glimpses are really glimpses of what our entire life is meant to be. I was just listening when Kirsten was reading earlier, when you go to a brother, Jesus was saying, draw forth heaven from them. Imagine going to visit your mother. Well, you're going to visit your mother, that's sweet. Well, I'm going to draw forth heaven from my mother. Doesn't that sound great? There's a mother and daughter right there. To draw forth heaven. Or you're going to work and you're thinking, I'm going to work. Why am I going to work? To draw forth heaven from my boss. I'm going to draw forth, I know it's in there. I'm going to go in there and draw forth heaven. You see how different that is than the typical way of thinking about visiting your mother or going to work. We've got it too small. We have the power in us to activate and draw forth heaven if we choose it. And yet we think of things in terms of situations. Going to work, I better just get the job done. Going to visit mom, I hope I catch up with mom. You see how different that is from what's actually possible, what is actually capable. We are actually capable of something that vast. And so we're not going to please them, we're not going to placate them, we're not going there to try to be nice. We have a bigger function to draw forth heaven. Yeah, that is powerful.
Yeah, I was just in India, I just came back a few days ago, and it was just coming to my mind around this hostage to the ego idea. And there's just one example I can give of that. And because it's so everyday, it's like every day, every decision I make, brings me hell or heaven, and sets my mind free into the miracle of truly seeing that moment by moment, everything is being provided for me by God. Literally everything. This whole perception of time and space and the world surrounding me is either taken for granted, and I think I know from a personal egoic perspective of it all, or my mind is so free in the miracle that everything is a miracle and everything is being provided, by God. So when I went there, I stayed in an apartment, and I have my usual routines in the morning. I like to have hot water with lemon, and then some yogurt perhaps, and a coffee, and then some kind of breakfast, like what I call breakfast food, like smoothie or cereal, or I'm pretty flexible. It could be eggs, it could be, but what I call breakfast food. And my whole experience of India was just this total, I went there with this purpose, very, very clear purpose out in front. The miracle leads the way. All I care about is the miracle leading the way, not planning anything, not knowing anything. My purpose is this function, which is being in the miracle and being shown day by day the invitation from the Spirit where the light can shine and I can experience joy. So in the apartment, there was no kitchen. There was a fridge, but there was no there was no kettle. There was no way to heat anything, and breakfast was mung soup with rice, and lunch is mung soup with rice, and dinner is mung soup with rice and vegetables, and it was just part of this flow that I experienced the whole time in India. And I came back from India and I so love mung soup. I don't drink coffee anymore. I don't eat yogurt anymore. I don't kind of, there's all these things that were just part of, normal daily life that just end up becoming expected, And it's so subtle, but even this thought of like, I need to have my needs met, I want to make sure these things are in the fridge, or that's what I need from my breakfast, and all the subtle beliefs, of things that go with these things. And it's just such a joy to let it all go. And that's what I saw there. When you're surrounded by millions of people, and this range, I was meeting billionaires, multi-millionaires, billionaires. And then I was driving in a rickshaw often past colonies of people with no toilet facilities, no clean water, their little kid pooping on the side of the road. And families going by on motorbikes with like toddler and baby up against the front steering wheel. Like, the flow and the range of everything going on there was so loosening, so loosening for the mind, that I could see my prayer. It was so easy to answer. It was so easy for the Spirit to answer this prayer for me of just being aware of the miracle underneath it all. Because I also had this sense of, wow, almost like there is no way personal control is arranging this. Just even watching the traffic with the pedestrians and the motorbikes and the rickshaws and the taxis and the big hay trucks and then the guy with his cart and it's all so many. And there's just this telepathic flow of everyone just playing their part and moving that, it's beyond human consciousness. That's what I kept seeing in this whole experience over there with this prayer to be in it. There was no hard edges in me being washed away. There was no expectations that I had being washed away. So I could easily just be in this flow of the river, in this miracle of just accepting what's showing up. So when I came back and spoke to Kristen about this retreat, and she wanted me on her show to talk about it and talk about magnitude, and I just started sharing about this experience of India, and she just started to cry and say, oh my God, oh wow, I can feel the simplicity of magnitude. I had this idea that I have to strive for it, I have to personally step up into it. But actually it's a yielding into what is beyond, what is beneath it, the magnitude of this divine grace, that's there when we don't have all our overlays and filters over the top, attempting to control it all. So,
it's beautiful. In one sense, you could, from what you were just sharing, it's almost like the prayer of the heart could be just to fall into the magnitude. Help me fall into it. And it reminds me that Jesus says, it's not that you ask for too much of life. It's like you ask for far too little. And I think it's part of the mesmerism of this world that you were reading earlier, Kirsten, that this world was made by littleness. This is a world of littleness because it's a world of images. It's a world of make-believe. It's a fairy tale. It's a fantasy world where everything about it and every distinct, separate thing that you perceive, through the five senses is all littleness. And then we have this quantum field, this happy dream, this state of interconnectedness, of unified mind, call it whatever you want to call it, that is the vastness. And yet the habit for the mind that's asleep and dreaming and believing in this separation is that it has forgotten what to ask for. That's kind of like your story of, I'm flexible, I could have eggs or some tea in the kettle and a coffee and a smoothie. There's about 10 or 15 different things. I'm flexible. And then those are zip, they're not there. And I really feel like that's how this inward journey goes, where you seem to go through a disillusionment, like, wow, what is this? What's it all about? Why am I not feeling fulfilled? Why do I have this struggle? Why am I just striving, but I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels? It's that our asking has become a hostage. We are only asking within the small, tiny range of the ego. And we forgot to ask for heaven. We forgot to ask for nirvana. We forgot to wake up and say, God, grant me the vastness and the magnitude of who I am. Instead, the asking is so confined to these tiny little range of choices, in which it's all littleness. The whole range is all littleness. So it's very exciting to hear witnesses of something that's beyond that there is something else available, and it is all for the asking. If we pray for it, if we take the limits off of our prayer, if we take all those limits away, we can actually be shown something that is so magnificent, so amazing, so spectacular, and yet, as you said, so very simple. Like having it under our nose the whole time and we're running around, where is it? Looking, racing around, and it's like closer than we could ever even imagine.
Yeah, and having that inspiration to really serve God and just say yes. And that's also what I experienced that month there. And it was also such a loosening from time there, time and sleep, because I was staying there with Clint and my friend Clint, and he would go and work with Dr. Naram, who he works with a lot, and so he would come back to the apartment somewhere between midnight and 3 a.m. And so I would want to join with him when he got back. So I would just have this, okay, do I stay up? Do I go to sleep? And often I've just found I would just shift gears into whatever the timing was. And then there were other times where they would be going on a trip and they just arrange the flights to get up at 4 a.m. and catch the flight at 6 and do this and come back. And it was such a sense of timelessness. I really let go of, I could see this